Hi, Sean again. Welcome to the second video in my Learn Archery Like a Mameluke series. Today we are going to be covering getting your bow ready by stringing it, or bracing. Of the list of recommended equipment in the guide today, you're only going to need your bow and string. I have here a modern Mongolian style bow at 20 pounds, and this is going to be my practice bow for the majority of the guide. A quick word on that. Taebugha does recommend starting with light bows for novices, but feel free to start with wherever you're comfortable. A word of warning though is that if we follow along with the guide reasonably strictly, we are going to be exercising our muscles and joints quite a bit, and ideally we'll be able to increase our draw weight as we go, so don't start too heavy. This bow will work pretty well for me because I'm kind of a little guy and I'm also pretty new to all of this. As for the string, this came with the bow, and I have already waxed it by the manufacturer's recommendations. Okay, so let's get to it. This is what I call step 0, or bracing the bow. So, you've got your bow, you're ready to start, but you're fairly new to archery and your bow is unstrung. You might even be worried that your bow was made wrong because the nocks are on the wrong side, and it seems like the string is way too long for the bow. If you try to string it like this, everything's floppy, you're just not going to get anywhere and you might be a little confused. Today, I'm going to be covering a great bracing technique from the book that takes seconds to learn, and you can do it without any additional equipment or a helper or anything else. First, we need to sort out the top and bottom of our bows. The top is where the arrow pass is, this section of different material here. Now, if you don't have an obvious arrow pass, like on this bow, which has 2 sections of different material like that, it's usually a pretty safe bet that any bowyer's logo will be on the bottom limb. As for the string, hold it with both loops in the same hand. You'll notice that the amount of string between the loops and the serving is different. The side that is longer is the bottom, and this is the side we're going to want in our hand in just a moment. Alright, now that you've got that sorted, let's string it. Take the bow in your draw hand so that the top limb is up, and hold the bow so that you're right about the level of the top knee. Take the bottom loop in your grasp hand like so. Now, pass the bow behind your legs like this and line it up on your shin so that the belly of the bow is facing forward. Now, take the bottom loop, reach down and pass it around the bottom knock. Make sure to guide it into any string bridges that you've got, and while you're standing up, slide your hand up so now you have the top loop. Next, bend the bow around your knee, take the loop up over the sia and hook it into that knock. Relax just a little bit, make sure the string goes into the guide, and before you totally let go, check that bottom one too so that it didn't slide over on you. When everything looks good, step out of the bow, check both limbs to make sure that they're straight, and you're good to go. Always unbrace your bow when you're finished practicing for the day. Unbracing is just the reverse of what we just did, but remember to step through the bow first, like this. Step through, brace it against your shin, give it a bend, and unhook the string. I'll go through the sequence for you a couple of times here just so you kind of see how simple it can be. And right at the end there, I'll probably show you a little alternative as well. So again, check for the bottom loop. Alright, that's this one. Hold the top limb right about the level of the sia, right up at the knee, excuse me. Pass it behind your leg. Hook there so the belly's forward. Reach down, guide that into the knock, give it a good bend, up the top, make sure you're in both of the string bridges, step back out. Piece of cake. It's really quick, and again, you don't need any additional equipment, you don't need anybody to help you. Okay, I'll show you one other thing real quick before we finish for this video, and that is, if it's a little awkward for you to bend down to actually hook that on the bottom, you can actually hook it ahead of time, but just remember if you do that, you've got to step over the bow first, kind of like this, right? So you've got to step between the bow and the string, like so, and then you can brace it without having to bend over. But in order to do this, you've got to make sure, number one, the string stays in the knot pretty reliably, and you can also make sure you hold a little bit of tension on the string while you're stepping over, and that can help you get ready. Alright, thanks for watching this video. We'll see you in the next one.